You guys ready for this? In this episode, I'm going to tell you how to get rich and get lucky. Be lucky. In order to get rich, and the purpose of getting rich isn't just to have money, to be flashy, and to flaunt. It's just to live life without having to be at someone else's beck and call. Hey, you have to show up to work. We have a extra meeting. We have to do this presentation by this. You have to do this over the weekend. You have to report overtime. Just get rid of all of that. Be wealthy so that your time is just yours. Nobody else commands and controls your time. That's what the goal is. That's what I'm going to show you how to do in this episode. And I'm going to show you how to do it through understanding how Chinese astrology actually works. And the Chinese horoscope, the Chinese astrology that you know right now is wrong. I'm just going to start by that, and I'm going to fix it for you. I'm going to show you how and why it's fixed, and how you can use it to become wealthy so that you can have the time to just live your life and spend the time with the people that you love, doing the things that you love. So, how to get rich and how to be lucky. In order to be rich, you actually have to be lucky. There's a bunch of rich people that say, no, you just have to put in the work, and that's survivorship bias. What that means is, hey, I went to this school and I either dropped out or studied this, and I put my time in, and so I'm rich and wealthy. Anybody that does what I do and works 10 hours a day and programs computers or starts a veterinary blog or whatever it is, or starts a YouTube on diet and fitness can get rich. That's if you're a survivor. That's if you already got rich. You could say, just do what I did and get rich. But there's like, for every one person that succeeded in getting rich doing that, there's like 999 people that failed. What about them? They could have done exactly the same thing. They could have worked even harder. They could even have a higher IQ than this person who made millions of dollars, and they're still living in their mom's basement on a 30-year-old couch. Survivorship bias. So let's overcome all that, and none of this stupid point sample stuff where, hey, 0.1% of the people on Earth, 1 out of 10,000 people on Earth got rich and succeeded using this method, so you can too. None of that. None of that. This is a 100% absolutely perfect method of how to become wealthy and successful, because it's a universal method. This is the universe, and universal methods are universal. They just work all the time. Like a universal rule is, tomorrow morning, the sun's going to rise. Once a month, you're going to get the same shaped moon. These are universal principles. All you have to do is follow the universal principles, and you get a universal result, and the universal results are always the same. So it's 100% likelihood. So how do you get rich and wealthy? And to do so, you do have to be lucky. So how do you get lucky? How do you enforce luck? How do you make sure you get... But isn't lucky a chance thing? How do you make sure that that chance is 100%? You're going to take something that's a possibility and turn it not into a probability but a certainty? How do you do that? Well, this is a real simple formula. You have to be at the right place at the right time, but you also have to have the right power. You have to have the right abilities. And since not everybody has the right ability, you have to have the right people involved. Can you argue with that? Let's see anybody try and argue with those universal facts. In order to succeed at something like making your first $1 million in cash or whatever, you have to be at the right place, at the right time, and you have to have the right power. And since not everybody has all the powers in the universe, you have to have the right people to supplement the powers that you don't have. Like these guys. Oh, why doesn't this come out? Oh, shit. Fuck it. Here, like these guys. You see them? Like these guys. You see them? Like these guys. You see them, right? Without each other, they would not have been able to succeed. So, you have to have the right partner. You have to have the right people. So how do you get to the right place? How do you get to the right time? Or how do you get to the right place with the right person at the right time. Oh my God, you do all these things, you can't help but be successful. 100% guaranteed. How do you do that? You do it through this. You've never seen this before? Let me zoom in and I'll show you. This is what this is. You see these? Oh shit. These guys. Oh, fuck. I can't even. Anyway, this is a luopan. This is a Chinese feng shui dial compass thing. And so, all you need is one of these things. But here's the problem with this. Nobody actually knows how to use it. Nobody knows what it means. Nobody knows where it comes from. And it's like, okay, so this is Chinese and this is Chinese and I don't even know what it means, but I don't know how to use it because I don't know what it means. And even if I knew what it meant and how to use it, it's like, why does it work? Can you prove to me that it's effective? Can you prove to me that it's based on universal principles? Yes, now let's begin. You're going to need to know this. Fuck. Everybody thinks the universe moves. Well, okay, anyway, this is how the universe actually moves. Because the sun is actually spinning through the universe and flying through the universe, and the planets are rotating around the sun, this is actually, we're spiraling everywhere. We're not circling, we're spiraling. And these spirals are not completely circular. They're elliptical. So there's the sun's moving this way, right? The sun's moving this way. But while the sun's moving this way, if it was like this, the circling is not a perfect circle like this. The circling looks more like this. Actually, it would be. It's further away here and it's closer here. Did you get that? So it's really, really far over here and then it gets really, really close over here and then far and then close and then far and then close. That's how we rotate. But we don't just rotate like that. We rotate around. I'm explaining this to you so that you understand how this thing is built. Uh-oh. So that you understand it's based on actual real physics, universal principles. So it's 100% going to work for you all the time, 100% of the time. Kind of like, well, what's the probability that I'm going to rush at 9.8 meters per second squared toward the ground if I jump off a building? 100%? It's 100% guaranteed. So following these rules, it's 100% guaranteed that I become wealthy? Yeah. Yeah. So you have to understand what those rules are. So I'm showing you how the planets work. The way the planets work, especially the one you were born on, is that because the planets, all of them, none of them have a perfectly even orbit. Because they're all elliptical. Some people are born with more gravity and other people are born with less. That's it. Some people are born with more energy and other people are born with less. What are you talking about? Think about this. Here's the sun. If you're close to the sun, are you going to get more of the sun's energy or less? If you're farther away from the sun, are you going to get more of the sun's energy or less? Less. But there's actually people born who get lots of energy from the sun, and then there are people born that get lots of less energy from the sun because they're born in the winter versus the summer. Actually, the ironic thing is, and don't get this confused, in the summer you're actually farther away from the sun, but because for the northern hemisphere, but because your angle is tilted toward the sun, you get more of the sun's rays. So the distance is the opposite. But anyway, I'm not going to get into that. Just the principle applies that some people are born with more energy from the sun and some people are born with less. So you don't think that the amount of energy you get from the sun changes your skill sets, changes your intelligence, changes your aptitudes, your temperament, your personality, your longevity? You don't think it has anything to do with any of this stuff? Oh, it absolutely does. You can Google right now, solar radiation and a genetic mutation. You can Google you can Google radiation. You can Google gravity and genetic mutation. There are scholarly PhD Harvard scientists written articles that explain that, yeah, even gravity affects your DNA. I mean, that makes sense, right? If you didn't think that gravity affects your DNA, look at the people on the International Space Station. They have sex and they have sex, and the pregnancy rate is very different than having sex on Earth. And the health of the baby that's born in space without gravity is very different. In fact, they even start looking different. If you don't want to wait 9 months and risk a human life by having a baby in space, just plant a seed in space and look at what happens to the tree. Trees grow upwards and outwards, and roots go downwards because what's heavier ends up sinking, and what's lighter goes up higher. And the branches are lighter than the roots. So the roots end up sinking and the branches go up higher. It's that simple. But when there's no gravity, where do I pop out my arm? When there's no gravity, where should I actually pop out this leg? What about my head? Where should the head go? There's no cue for that. What's the heaviest part of the human body? It's the head. What's the heaviest part of a baby's body? The head. That's why the baby's upside down. Because the head just sinks to the bottom. Yes, there are babies that are born backwards, but a lot of times they either die or they're unhealthy or deformed. But anyway, that's another issue. Gravity affects you. Gravity affects your DNA. And so, how does knowing that gravity affects my DNA enable me to be at the right place at the right time with the right people? You can have the best dream team, but you show up to the NBA finals a day late, and you're not going to win. You can have the best timing and actually show up to the NBA finals on time, and you can have the right location. You could be the forward, you could be the center, but if you don't have the right people, you're not going to win. So you have to have those three things. You have to be in the right place at the right time with the right people. Okay, and that's why gravity is important. You still don't get it, it doesn't make any sense, right? This is where I'm going to make that gravity connection understandable. Whenever you're born, since you have a specific amount of gravity that you've been built with, and solar radiation and gamma radiation and X-ray radiation and all sorts of cosmic radiation, you have this specific mix of radiation and gravity from all the planets and all the stars. And radiation is always a wave or a particle. But even if it was a particle, waves come in sine waves and waves come in cosine waves. Sine and cosine. If you don't know what a sine and cosine is, I'll show you. This is what a sine and cosine looks like. Can you see that? Anyway, I think you can see that. So, because of that, a cosine is basically the opposite of a sine. If you were born at a time where, let's say, your wavelength that you got from the sun or the planets or the stars is a sine, and you meet someone that is a cosine, guess what? They're going to cancel you out. They're going to cancel your energy out. They're absolutely going to just negate your energy, which means that there are people that can superpower you. If there's someone that can just drain you of all your energy, then there's also got to be some people that can just absolutely supercharge you, right? Now you starting to see it? And because of where the planets were at the time, you can actually know in advance who is going to drain you of your energy, who your enemy is, and who's going to supercharge you. Based on how much and what kind of gravity and radiation they got when they were born. So all you have to do is know when they were born. Okay, I think I get it, but I'm not really quite sure I got it. It's like this. I'll show you where the sine and cosine wave is. I'm still recording, okay. If you're here, let's just say this is a sine wave. By the time you get here, you're going to get a cosine. By the time you get here, you're also going to get a 90-degree angle that's not harmonic. In music, it's called harmony and discord, or consonance and dissonance is what it's called in music. Two things sound good together and two things sound horrible together. And that's true in every wavelength. Music is a wave, right? It's true in every wavelength. There are lights that you shine two lights at each other. You don't think energy can cancel each other out? What do you think makes noise-canceling headphones work? Noise-canceling headphones just kind of look around and say, hey, these are the waves that are coming in from outside this headphone space. I'm just going to do the opposite wave and just cancel all the waves. So if this wave looks like this, I'm going to send the opposite mirror wave and boop, boop, boop. When they meet, they just cancel each other out and you can't hear anything. It's like a wave in the ocean. It's literally like a wave in the ocean. You pound a bucket of water and all these waves come in. Every time the water goes up, all you have to do is smash that water down with the same amount of force if you can. The easiest way to do that is this. You go into a swimming pool. You go into a swimming pool, you throw a rock at it. You get waves, right? You know how to end those waves really easy? Just throw a tarp over the swimming pool. Poof! Throw a tarp over the swimming pool and it'll suck up all the waves. That's exactly what sine wave and cosine wave is. And where they come from is the opposite sides of your orbit. So if your Earth is here and you're orbiting here, if you're born here, whoever was born here is going to be your mortal enemy. It's that simple. Ta-da! Because here, you get the sun's radiation like this, and here, this other guy got the sun's radiation in exactly the opposite way. So, if you were born listening to an A minor, he was born listening to an F sharp. And those two sound horrible to get, I think. Right? My music theory is shady, it's at best. Shoddy at best. So, and it's the same with this. So what you do, but wait a second. Okay. So if those guys are my enemies, the people born on opposite sides of the sun, wait, let's do some easy math. And if anyone born at a 90-degree tangent is also dissonant, and since the Earth takes about 12 months, a little over 12 months to spin around the sun, does that mean anyone born in 3-month increments from when I was born is going to be noise canceling to me? Is going to be my enemy? Exactly. Exactly. I mean, I would show you this, but I guess I will show you this. Okay, you see this? This is the kilohertz. All they're doing is changing the frequency. That there's a speaker underneath this board, and voila. All they have to do is change the frequency, and here, nice, fuck. There it is. They're changing the hertz, and it changes the shape of the actual sand. That's how sound, you can visualize sound on a two-dimensional surface, because that's how it makes this plate vibrate. Isn't that cool? At this frequency, this is the only shape that's physically possible. You could pour sand on it, you could shake it, you could stomp on this plate. You could literally stomp on this plate and the shape would return to the same shape at this frequency. Now you change the frequency and look at what happens. Go ahead and change the frequency, assholes. There it goes. Now you get a different shape. What that means is that based on the frequency of the gravity, the frequency of the gamma rays, the frequency of the light, the frequency of the sunlight, the ultraviolet, the UV rays that you got from the sun, based on all those things, your DNA was shaped. That sand on the soundboard was your DNA. So your DNA, it just doesn't go, oh, here's mom's DNA, here's dad's DNA, let's just do this. Bam! And suddenly, hey, I'm me. No. What it is all these DNAs are like vibrating around there, like, And depending on how much radiation you get, it's either these two are going to vibrate together at the same frequency, or these two, or these two, or these two are going to vibrate together, or these two. And so whatever vibrates together, because if one's vibrating at a faster rate, then these guys aren't going to match. So they've got to actually vibrate at the same rate to finally match, right? So that's how these guys come together. And this was the only DNA pattern that was possible to exist at that moment based on that amount of radiation from the universe. If the same egg cell and same sperm cell were to intersect and get fertilize the egg cell at a different time, what you're saying is that egg cell was going to be fertilized by the same sperm cell at a different place in the universe, because time is place. Oh, what's the time now? The time now is determined by where you are relative to the sun, where you are relative to the earth, so or the moon, where you are relative to the other planets. So time is place. It's actually much greater than place. It's a quantum dimension greater than place. But for the sake of argument, you would have been fertilized at a different location in the universe. Different location in the universe means different radiation in the universe, which means this DNA, your ATCG molecules are going to be different. They're going to align differently. Just like you saw, the sand particles, the salt particles align differently on that vibrating plate. So, just like that plate showed you, certain patterns are only possible, that one pattern is only possible at that one frequency. Ironically, since all frequencies are waves, if there's a wave that's a sine, there's also a wave that's a cosine. So that means that there's a shape that's going to be absolutely the opposite of that one shape. So if you saw the zigzag pattern and you turn it to a different frequency, you're eventually going to find a frequency that's a zag-zig pattern. Zigzag pattern meets zag-zig pattern, and you overlay them on top of each other, guess what? No pattern shows up. It's just, it fills all the dips. Any dips and any bumps just get completely filled because they're exactly the opposite pattern. It's the mirror, it's the negative. It's the photo-negative pattern. Now, if you meet your photo-negative person and you're trying to build a business, you're trying to buy property, and your photo-negative person, your exact opposite person, shows up and tries to help you buy that real estate, you're gonna get destroyed. You're gonna get ruined. If your exact opposite person remember your exact opposite is based on how this DNA works. You have DNA that looks like this, and this other person has DNA that looks like this. They're going to destroy you. And that's, again, determined by you were born here and they were born there. They're born on the opposite side of the sun than you were. Then they're going to be your opposite. Why? Because the sunlight goes like this and the sunlight goes like this, and they got the mirror image of that ray. And not just sunlight, but gravity and all the other cosmic radiation. And it's the same way with people that are born at 90-degree angles from you. So, having said that and explained that, if there are people that can actually destroy me and ruin everything I try to do, then there must be people that can supercharge me. Like these guys. Like these guys. Like these guys. Yep, believe it or not, each of these guys, believe it or not, each of these guys were born not at 90-degree angles, not at 20-degree angles, or 180-degree angles, but they were born at 1, 2, just about 45 to 60-degree angles away from each other. Look it up. These guys have birth dates on Google. Look up their birth dates, both of them. They were literally born 45 to 60-degree angles away from each other. See? Here it is. Here's zero angle, right up here at the top. Right here, zero angle. So if Warren Buffett was here, then Charlie Munger was born here. If Steve Jobs was born here, then Steve Wozniak was born here. 45 to 60 degrees away from each other. It's that simple. So if you're going to, let's say you're a consultant for FutureView.app, and you're going to help people meet their business mate or their soulmate. How do you do it? Or if you're going to create content, if you're going to blog, or you're going to put up Instagram brief stories about how to find your soulmate and how to find your perfect business partner and how to find your right timing, you have to know your birth date, and you have to know that in music there's dissonance and consonance. Remember that. To find consonants, all you have to do is look for 45 to 60 degree angles in general from when you were born. And that person will be the perfect complement, will have all the skill sets that you lack, and will be able to enjoy doing things that you hate, and will support you instead of fighting you. It's just the most awesome thing. If you have the right business partner, you can become like Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger and Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak. I didn't actually start making money until I found the right partner, literally. Alone, as smart as I think I am, I couldn't hold on to my money. I found the right person, and bam, my life just absolutely changed. So find the right person, but you also have to find the right time. How do you find the right time? Exactly the same principle. Exactly the same principle. You wait until you're at a 45 degree to 60 degree divergence away from when you were born. What about the locations? The location's really fun. The location, you see this? You see what's in the center here? These guys tell you the location. But isn't that the I-ching? Yeah. You know what these things are called? It's not just about energy. The I-ching is 8 different variations. Because, anyway, I'm not going to go into that right now. It's just too much. But based on the I-ching, you can know where to actually physically go to find them. So, what I would do if you're consulting, the biggest way to help people is to say, if today is 6 years away from 3s and 6s, remember that, because 3 is 90 degrees and 6 is 180 degrees on the 12 sector chart, 12 sector circle. What I'd say is, if you were born in a 3-year multiple from today, for instance, if you were born 3 years earlier, 6 years earlier, 9 years earlier, 12 years earlier, 18 years earlier, 15 years earlier, like that, 3 times 7 would be 21, 3 times 8 would be 24. 24 years earlier than today, this is going to be a bad year for you. And if you meet someone that's 3 years younger or 3 years older than you, they're going to actually zap you of your energy. They're going to be the photo negative of your DNA, of your temperament, your personality, your goals, your dreams are going to get crushed by this person. And you're going to crush their dreams and goals and energy level. So what you have to do is meet someone that was born about 4 years before or after you. And every 4 years, you're going to have a very good, super productive, super powerful year, because as you go around the circle, you're at harmonic, consonant energy. Dissonant, consonant, dissonant, consonant, dissonant, consonant, dissonant, consonant. Unlucky, lucky. Unlucky, lucky. Unlucky, lucky. That's how it goes. You know what that sounds like? That sounds like a sine wave. That's all it is. It's just a wave. So what ends up happening though is you can use the Feng Shui dial. See the sine wave? You can use that Feng Shui dial, all the good times, to stretch out those good times and make it, instead of doing this, do this. And all those bad times, instead of doing this, do this. Bink. Bink. So you're extremely shortening all the bad times, and you're taking all the good times and just stretching it out, stretching it out. And you do that by finding people that were born about 2 or 4 years before or after you were born, and making big moves in your life, like starting a business, getting married, having a baby, in increments of 2, 4, 4.5 years away from your birth. So if you're 36 years old, it's a horrible year to have a baby, because that would literally be 12 years, 12 years, 12 years, bam. You're right back at, actually it wouldn't be 36, it'd be 36 plus 12 is 48. Or 36 minus 6 would be 30. If you have a baby at the age of 30, it's like the worst possible time, because you have 12, 24, and then 6 more would be 30. You're 30 years of age is the worst time to have a baby, because this baby is going to be absolutely the opposite of you. So when you're building content, you could literally just do an Instagram or a blog post that says, this is the year 2024. If you were born in the year 2020, this would be a bad year for you. And then just keep, 3 years, so 2021. And then just keep subtracting 3 years away. And say 2021, 2018, 2015, 2012, 2009, 2006, 2003, the year 2000. Make sense? So if you're born in the year 2000, this is going to be a bad year for you. How do you overcome the bad luck? By meeting somebody and working with somebody who was actually born in the year 2024, since you were born in the year 2020. And it's the same thing with the months. If you were born in June, you're going to, and you meet someone that was born in December, you're going to have a, so how do you increase your luck and your supercharge your energy? You want to find someone, so if this is, you were born here, instead of finding someone that was born here in December, what you would do is find someone that was born June, July, August. Someone who was born in August, or someone who was born in June, May, April, in April. But the problem now is that there are still exceptions to this rule. Why are there exceptions to this rule? Because planets don't just absolutely move like this around each other. They don't move like this around each other. Even if it's an egg shape, they don't move like, I thought you said that's how they move. Yeah, except for the fact that there are other planets. So if I'm moving like this, right, it's not going to be the same all the time, because at one point, the planet, a huge ass planet called Jupiter, is going to be right here. And so what's going to happen is, as I get closer to the Earth, because Jupiter is right here, I'm going to go. Did you see that? Jupiter's up here. Let's say Jupiter's up here. I'm going to go close. I'm going to go toward the sun, and then because I'm so close to Jupiter, Jupiter is going to pull me up before I come back down. So I'm going to have like the pimple. I'm going to have a pimple in my orbit. Instead of just a nice round egg, there's going to be a pimple here. Pimple here. So because of this, now there are exceptions. Wait a second. Are you telling me that you can't just blanket say anyone who was born 6 years at 6 years apart from me, or 12 years, or 16 years, in 6-year increments from me, are bad for me. That's exactly what I'm saying. You can't, because you have these waves get. The easiest way to envision a wave is a siren, a police siren, or an ambulance siren. As it approaches you, you hear woo, 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 woo. But as it goes away from you, woo, 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 woo. Far, the sound, because what you're doing is you're taking that wave and you're stretching it out by moving away from you. And as the wave approaches you, you're taking that wave and you're truncating it, you're squeezing it so that it's higher frequency as it approaches you. And it's the same thing with all the radiation from the sun and all the other stars. As you move toward the sun and Jupiter pulls you away from the sun, you're suddenly going to change the shape of that wave that you get. And so you can't just blanket statement say, 6 years, 3 years, bad, 4 years, 2 years, good. That's why you have to use futureview.app, because all that's been calculated. Amazing, isn't it? All that's been calculated. It literally took about 20 years to figure out how to make the algorithm to calculate all that. So that's what I would do, is just give people a little teaser and say this is not 100% accurate. To get the 100% accurate, dates, use the futureview.app to know what birth year or what birth month or what birth day is going to be an enemy, and which one is going to be a super soulmate and supercharge you, and what date, what month, what year you're going to be super lucky as well, and where you have to be to get that luck. Because you're not just going to get lucky, but let's say you're stuck in in an underground bunker, and the door is locked. You're gonna get lucky there? No. You kind of have to be in a place that's also lucky. So where's that? That's also going to be explained at futureview.app. Okay, wow, this was a long lesson. I think I've covered everything though. So get there. Go to futureview.app. Find your soulmate. Find your superpower days, months, and years, and make things happen. Get wealthy.